And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. Breaking news to bring to you. President Donald Trump confirming that the United States has seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela.
As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela. Large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
Senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, also retired Lieutenant Colonel Rachel VanLandingham, joining me now for more. So, Selena, what more do we know about the seizure?
Yeah, Kira, well, we're just learning from a U.S. official that the U.S. Coast Guard seized that oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, but we didn't get any further details from the president or the White House beyond that soundbite you just played there. The president calling this the, quote, largest one ever seized. But again, no further information on this. But the bigger context here is that all this comes as the president has been escalating pressure on Venezuela's government, particularly the president, Nicolas Maduro. In recent weeks, the U.S. has launched more than 20 strikes on suspected drug boats, killing more than 80 people. And just yesterday, the president said that Maduro's days are numbered, and he has repeatedly said that strikes on land in Venezuela could be coming soon. We have also in recent weeks, Kira, seen a pretty massive show of military force in the region, a big U.S. military buildup, including deploying the massive aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, into the Caribbean Sea.
All right. Well, Rachel, clearly this is a major escalation between the U.S. and Venezuela. What's your reaction?
Well, this will definitely inflame tensions. And President Trump was on the phone with President Maduro last week, asking him to step down since the President Maduro isn't going anywhere. It definitely seems like we are inching closer to actually war with Venezuela.
Okay, so, I mean, how's that going to look? How do you think Venezuela is going to respond? Do you think the U.S. Is going to start moving in, in country?
Well, I would sure hope that the president would seek congressional approval before he invaded Venezuela. But he did meet members of his administration, including the Secretary of Defense and State, met with top members of the House and Senate Armed Services Committee yesterday. So I don't think they're planning a true land invasion with U.S. forces. I do think we may see missile strikes against particular drug storage facilities. But if he really wants to pressure Maduro to go away, he's going to need to do more than just missile strikes against some random drug facilities. And Kira, I do want to highlight that if the United States Coast Guard is able to interdict successfully, which it apparently has, a huge oil tanker, why isn't it interdicting the small drug boats that it's instead been, the Navy's been told to just blow out of the water since September? So it really seems that this really isn't about the drugs. This is about regime change against Nicolas Maduro. So this is dangerous, and we have U.S. forces and potentially going into harm's way. There are over 15,000 U.S. troops and the United States' largest aircraft carrier poised off of Venezuela.
So then, Rachel, just from your experience as a JAG officer, active military, how do you see this playing out? Is this, when you say headed to war, what does Maduro have to go back at U.S. assets, out in the waterways? Do you see this by air, by sea?
Well, I mean, I think the United States is, overwhelming superiority by the United States military against Venezuela. But as we saw with Iraq, we can't just expect to take folks out and for regime change to happen overnight. We do have the woman that just won the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Who was an opposition figure against Nicolas Maduro, but she's not even in country as far as I know right now, because she was accepting her Nobel Peace Prize. But it usually requires requires U.S. troops on the ground for something like regime change, which is something President Trump promised during his campaign that he wasn't going to do. We were done with overseas long involved engagements with the U.S. military. So it's really going to be interesting to see just what kind of military pressure the administration thinks they can bring to bear to actually force regime change without actually putting troops on the ground.
All right, stay tuned. We'll keep tracking it. Selena, Rachel, thank you both.